I'm gonna step on glass like
Dude.
John McClane and Die Hard and everything.
You need to wear shoes.
People with
never
bare
wear
feet
shoes.
go in danger.
I never wear shoes.
I'm gonna step on glass like
Dude.
John McClane and Die Hard and everything.
You need to wear shoes.
People,
It is a kind of an irrational fear of mine ever since I watched Die Hard. You never know, man.
That's a good point. I can't fault you on that one.
I've actually never seen Die Hard. I probably should watch it.
That was a can of worms you should have opened.
Oh man.
And man, I've opened worse.
That's all right. You know what? It's the Christmas season, and it is one of the best Christmas movies ever made. So I highly recommend it. All right, let's go ahead and get rolling here.
Oh, there it is. Cool.
Welcome to the Thrash Report, episode 67. This is for November 3rd, 2021. I'm Chris, and joining me, my co-host, my partner in crime, Jim Osborne. Jim, what's going on, buddy?
and joining us is Agony Reigns. We have Matt and Micah from Agony Reigns from the Twin Cities area joining us. How are you, gentlemen?
Not bad.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, welcome to the show. So, how you been? I saw you guys last Friday, so it's been a few days. Still doing well?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, I'm doing well. I don't know. I'm not gonna vouch for Micah. He can do that himself.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm doing pretty well.
Great. So guys, I missed the Winona Metal Fest. Why don't you guys tell me a little bit about that show? And now, was this kind of one of the first ones back after the pandemic? I mean, how has things been kind of happening since COVID?
Well, to start, just for reasons because people were busy, we also missed like half of it. So Jim got the full experience.
Got it.
But no, it was cool. It was I want to say it was our 5th show back.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be 5th.
Yeah, and so pretty much it was like we had one in Fargo in August, one at the Caboose in September, and then we were able to line up most of the October weekends with a show, which I'm hoping as stuff keeps going that we can do that more and more, because that was definitely a lot more fun than just once a month.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I was at the whole show, saw every band last Friday, and it was awesome. You guys opened up and just started things off with a bang. It was another great set by you guys. I mean, you keep getting better. On your stage show, it's awesome. So much energy up there. You're so fun to watch. So, thanks.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yep, and Micah, when you're jumping off the stage and getting out in the crowd and playing around too, it's just it's awesome.
Everyone doesn't know what to do. They're like, got a guitar.
I think you're egging people on to grab it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually wanted them to
solo.
play so I can mosh.
I could do some smoke on the water.
That's don't tell anybody. That's our secret unreleased track. We're no.
Full cover.
We're doing a full cover of Smoke on the Water.
Awesome. Your secret's safe with us. All right. Well, we have a question that we ask everybody when they come on, so we'll hit you with that right away. We want to know how you guys got into metal. So,
Mikey, you can go first on that one.
All right. So, the way I got into metal was in like 7th grade. I had a friend show me. So it was like Black Veil Brides. Like that was one of the first like heavier bands that had like screaming and stuff in it. That kind of got me into it. And like Pierce the Veil and like Sleeping with Sirens and stuff. So like kind of more on the emo side rather than the metal side. But then eventually it kind of progressed into like got into metalcore, got into deathcore, which led me into like death metal, black metal, etc.
Went off the deep end with Suicide Silence right away.
Yeah.
yeah,
and then went right to Cannibal Corpse.
That's a little different answer than we normally get, but
Yeah.
you guys are quite a bit younger than our normal guests or abnormal guests.
Uh, but I guess for myself personally, it was something like I think the trajectory was Green Day to The Offspring, from there to Linkin Park to Avenged Sevenfold, and then kind of a bunch of different ways from that point on, in a bunch of different ways. So it's just
Right.
like I definitely found like the Big Four Thrash first, just because that was like one of my close friends, what he was almost exclusively listening to. So he
Mhm.
just kept throwing stuff my way and was like, "Oh, you should check this song out, or you should check this one out." And that's like the biggest place. So like that's where I got like at least some foundation with some more classic stuff. And then now I just listen to whatever I'm in the mood to listen to.
Yeah, I've seen you play. You post a lot of videos of yourself playing on YouTube and Facebook, and I don't know, I see a lot of Avenged Sevenfold Trivium kind of stuff.
Yep.
And that's kind of like the influences that you guys have.
I
It's kind of a super, like, between the four of us, it's a super weird array because it's like it I mean, it all kind of manifests itself into, like, I guess, Trivium and like that kind of sort of era of like type of stuff. Like that's what it manifests itself as, but it is so all over the board.
I was gonna say, Jim, if you said that you earlier you only got like 8 tracks into your like pre-listen of the album, that last one is the most definition amalgamation of whatever influences we threw at it.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it. So yeah, and we'd like to thank you again for sending us the
Yeah,
link to the
absolutely.
video. So Chris and I got a heads up on most people giving it a listen to today, and it's, you know, like I said, I got about 7 or 8 songs through, and all great.
It's awesome.
It's
And let's actually do a little pitch that drops next Friday.
Next
Yes.
Saturday.
Next
Well, yeah,
Saturday.
next Saturday.
Yeah.
Next Saturday.
Trust me, it throws me off too. I was like, no, it's a Saturday.
Awesome. So everyone can get that. This is your first full length
Yes.
album, and it's going to be available next Saturday. So, and that is November
13th.
13th.
13th. Awesome.
the album is
Cool.
called The Tragedy and Understanding Nothing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And
it's,
where's that going to be available? I mean, Bandcamp.
Yeah, that'll be available on like Bandcamp, Apple Music, Spotify. We went through DistroKid, so wherever they distribute to, it'll
Got
be
it.
there.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Cool. So where did you guys, I guess, if you look at the history of the band, like let's kind of go back. How did Agony Reigns kind of come to be?
Oh, Micah, you can totally answer all that question, you know?
I mean, I've heard it enough times. I can
That's
answer
true.
it.
That's true. So pretty much the friend that I was talking about was the original like rhythm guitarist. And so, God, this was 2014. Him and I were just kind of talking, hanging out more because of like another small like childhood friend band playing. And so we just ended up talking more, and he wanted to play more metal stuff. And he's just like, well, you're learning bass, so why don't you learn how to play metal stuff? And I was like, okay, which progressed into us forming Powerhouse, which is Agony Reigns. That was just like the first name. And pretty much just over time, we just started writing more, started slowly treating it like an actual band, not just get together and play like 2 Metallica songs in the garage and then just go screw off and hang out.
Mhm.
And so just time went on. We had a couple members that come and go while we were still figuring stuff.
Oh no, we lost Matt.
Yeah, I was like,
And you guys are just sitting there not moving. Like, is it me?
yeah, that scared me too. I'm still here. I think you guys are still
Yep.
here for me.
Yep,
That's just gone.
It's just a long time.
So there he is.
there he
Oh,
is. You're
Yeah,
back.
Matt, you
Where did-
froze up.
where
You
did I-
froze that a couple members came and went as as we were figuring stuff out. So I'm guessing, yeah.
Okay.
Not
So
just
yeah, a bunch of members were kind of coming and going as we were figuring stuff out, which eventually landed us to Jake and Ben joining. So it's me and my friend Jake and Ben. So that was like the first like proper lineup. And then just like we played a couple shows. Dan, the other guy, ended up leaving, which then saw Taylor, who is now in Coffin Rights, join for a little bit. And just pretty much it was like right before the pandemic started. Taylor left, which saw Micah come in, who has been one of my closest friends since pretty much early high school. And now we are here.
Yeah, 'cause I think the first time I saw you guys in 2019, actually it was almost 2 years ago to the day, because I just saw a Facebook memory of me wearing my new Agony Reigns shirt.
Okay.
I think Mike, I don't think you were an official member at that point. You're filling in. If I'm
Yeah, I think I was still just a fill in at that point. Also, I want to share a little, Matt, you forgot a fun fact. One of the guys from Begravement was in Powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. Owen, their lead guitarist, was like one of our drummers for a little bit. And then it just ended up being that he was busy. So then he ended up doing other stuff. And then that's when we were finally able to beg and convince Ben to join.
Yeah, well, like I said before, watching you guys live and hearing you guys, I mean, the first time I saw you, you guys were amazing. So you keep getting better and your music's getting better, your writing's getting, I don't know if there's more influences, but it's listen to the new one, it's not straight up as thrashy as your previous EP, but it kind of branches out into little different areas, and it's really cool to hear.
Heck yeah. That means a lot to hear.
Yeah, because listen, I forget which track it was, but it sounded like it was a little slower. Like, oh, maybe this is a little slower song, and then like I don't know if there were double leads just kicked in.
Decadent.
I was just say it's probably Decadent, yeah.
Yeah, fourth or fifth one on there.
Yep, that should be Decadent.
Okay. Yeah, so I can't wait to hear it more, and can't wait for everybody else to get their hands on it too.
Oh, absolutely.
And I hear a lot of buzz about you guys too. Talking to people on Facebook or seeing people interact on Facebook, there's a pretty big metal community in the Twin Cities, and someone mentions you guys. There's a lot of comments just saying, these guys are going places and how much you guys kill it and shit. So that's really cool to see too.
I mean, that's really cool to hear, because we're never sure how we're doing. we're every time we brought up a shit, when we were talking about putting together the release show, we were even yeah, I don't know if people know who we are or whatever.
Or if we're big enough to justify asking insert band here for being on the bill or something.
Yeah, it's good to hear that people are checking us out. That's sick.
All right, thank you for sharing that.
Of course, yeah. So when did you start writing this new album? Is it kind of like you're saying, like a COVID thing, or has it been in the works for a while?
Before I joined, at least a year or two before I joined.
To put it in perspective, I think 3 of the songs on the album were actually preliminary. The first draft of them were done being written by the time we released the EP.
Okay.
The Havoc show that we opened for the July before the EP release show, we almost played, I think it was a Necrosis. We almost played that one for the Havoc show. And then just with lineup changes, we just didn't do that because we're let's not chance a bunch of stuff when we have a new guy that have to learn something. And it has been a long process, but it is finally done. And it feels really good to say that it is finally done.
Awesome.
So what kind of a time, or how much time goes by between the album's done up to when it gets released? That kind of a typical thing, or who's that up to? Or?
You can go first, Micah.
I was gonna say that's kind of hard. I mean, I guess now it's been 2 years since I joined, but based on my experience so far, I don't know if that would be a typical thing, because we kind of write music really fast. We're me, Matt, and Jake especially crank out songs quite a bit, but it's I don't think that's going to be a typical thing. I think it's just this time it was a lot of lineup changes happening right as stuff was being recorded and stuff, and then there's changes to the writing and so on and so forth.
No, yeah. So to piggyback off that, it's pretty much at the mercy of a bunch of behind the scenes things, pretty much, because it's we started recording it in 2019. And it's just a mix of balancing everyone's schedules. And then he was talking about lineup changes and having like almost a weird, like not necessarily weird, because we all are happy with how the songs turned out, but it was like almost middle of the way. We had like a pre-pro, like almost a giant pre-pro session with the songs, which saw a lot of change, like usually pretty minor changes, but changes to a bunch of the songs.
Mhm.
So it's just kind of like, granted, this was like our first time doing this large of a body of work too. So probably it's just a mix of a bunch of like behind the scenes like things and just us being our first time recording this much stuff in one go.
Sure.
And so hopefully now we have it more figured out. So then once we know what songs we want to focus on out of the new stuff we've been working on, then we can just kind of get through those at a much faster pace.
Sure. And then I know you play bass in the band, but like I mentioned before, you've released yourself playing guitar and stuff. So obviously you do both. Do you kind of stick to bass, or do you help write rhythms and leads for guitar as well?
So I primarily just feel mostly comfortable on bass. That is the one that, like, if I had to write a bass part, I would feel the most at home, like writing that from scratch, basing it off guitar parts, but then also like modifying it. So on the album, there's about 3 tracks, give or take, worth that like was more like riffs or songs that I contributed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it's kind of cool because the new stuff too, and even the interlude track on the album, that was like the first one where all of us collectively like sat in a room and really worked together. So it's like all the stuff coming forth kind of just sees a bunch of people like contributing parts or contributing song ideas, and then we're like collectively coming in and editing them together is kind of what we've been doing or hope to be doing.
Right on.
And Micah, do you do both rhythm and leads? I know, seeing you live, I've seen you do both.
Um,
Kind of lean towards
mostly,
one or the other.
no, mostly rhythms for the most part, like especially with like this project, but like I can do leads. Like there's like there's one of my solos, or I only have 2 solos on the album. One is at the beginning of Ruination, and then the other is like in the middle of the title track. So I do a little bit here and there, but I usually just stick more to rhythm stuff.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, he's better than he gives himself credit.
Oh, I've seen him, I know. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that makes you guys so great is just, I love your leads so much. And Asphyxiate, Jake's solo on that one, and just every time I hear that, I just love it.
Jake solos in general.
Well, it's been fun too, because like I've been noticing subtle like additions he's been doing to the Asphyxiate solo lately. And so like when I hear it creep through the monitors, I'm like, this dude's going off.
Yeah, he's got a pretty diverse background too. It seems he's posting him playing super fast metal stuff, and then last week he was playing Django Reinhardt and stuff, and so it's cool to see all
that guy's also just a sponge and will learn everything and is way too talented.
Another thing I like, seeing it live, I can hear it more on the album, but like your gang vocals, when Matt, you're doing most of the vocals, but then like seeing it last Friday, all of a sudden all 3 of you are up on a mic and just screaming, and it just sounds awesome. I love that.
There is a part on the title track where Micah's vocals come in and we're like, it's so like, it's funny in all the right ways. Like it's just so good, but the tonality of it's just so funny and unexpected at first. And you're like, okay.
Like when we were it makes me laugh every time I hear it, because like when we were in it, I just think back to when we were recording it and I did it because it was like everybody else was doing more, yet like Matt was doing like higher vocals, I think, or like not higher vocals, but he was doing
standard
like
vocals,
more like mid stuff, and then Jake did like his mids or whatever, and all of a sudden I just did straight gutturals, and it was just for like the guy who was recording it just kind of was like, okay,
didn't expect that.
Did you notice that right away and just decided to leave it, or is it something that got laid down and then later on you're like, whoa?
I mean,
yeah, was
we
that
noticed
first
it.
Take?
Yeah, I think that was the first take.
Nice. I'll keep an ear out for that.
You'll know where it is.
Yeah, and your stage presence too, Mike. I just love watching you up there. I mean, you're just a maniac.
I try.
Like-
that's yeah. Sorry, what?
I was just gonna say I don't know how you guys can play as you do and sing at the same time. I've said it before here too. I just don't get that. I can't.
Adrenaline.
That is true. A lot of it is adrenaline.
They got it too hard. You're like, oh God, I need to slow down.
So what's your release show coming up? You're got a few bands playing with you on the 13th.
Oh yeah. So on November 13th at Los Campeones Gym, it's the one on the location on Franklin Ave. We will be having local bands Sentenced to Die, Coffin Rights, and Wanderer playing our release show. And all three of those bands are really sick. And it's pretty much, it's a lineup that if we weren't on it, I would still happily be there seeing that lineup.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because all of them are really good bands.
That's awesome.
Plus, what's also sweet is Sentenced to Die should be putting out their EP. I think it's Friday this week, so they should finally have like physical media you can pick up at our release show.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm excited because they're a new band, like literally started at the tail end of the pandemic and played their first show was in like end of August, I think.
Yeah.
See, and that's what we were talking about a couple weeks ago with Extinction AD, is how these bands, kind of sticking together and helping each other up. That's really cool.
Yeah, and you guys have played with them, right?
Oh yeah. God, that is one show that I wish we could have played it at the capacity we are at now when we played that one. But no, the Extinction AD dudes are awesome, and like I am genuinely excited to see where their new EP takes them, because like there's a lot of really cool talks about them when Decimation Treaty came out, but this is like the first time where I'm just casually scrolling through like Facebook feeds or Instagram feeds and I see someone go, oh, there's this new Extinction AD release coming out this Friday. I think it's going to be pretty sick. And I'm like, that is what we like to see.
Awesome.
Yep. What other bands have you played with? I know you've had a lot of shows. The ones I've been to, I've seen you with Soulfly and what's kind of some bands that stick out, whether local or national, that you've played with?
So we opened for the DRI tour in 2019. So we got to play the Minneapolis date on that. Like you said, the Soulfly one. In 2019 as well, we got to open for the Summer Slaughter and Chaos and Carnage stops in Minnesota. So that was like, one of them had like Revocation, Whitechapel, and Dying Fetus, and then the other one had Carnifex, Cattle Decapitation, and just a couple other bands. And I always blend the two lineups together, so I probably just mixed up some of them. And then
yeah, you did. I was at both those shows.
Yeah, you were.
I wasn't in the band. I was just watching.
Okay, but you did. You also, there are pictures of you doing the Asphyxiate Gang vocals though. So
no,
you were like,
it was the Tainted Minds.
Oh, sorry, Tainted Minds. Yeah. So you were pretty much, you were halfway there. And then other than that, I know we opened for like Cane Hill, which is a kind of new metal, kind of just modern like metalcore band, and then we opened up for the Havoc Extinction AD Jungle Rot tour. That was like our first bigger show too, so that one I'll always happily remember.
Yeah.
Local wise, I think I think the only like really, really big like band that I opened for with Agony is been Soulfly, as far as I remember. Matt can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the only like really like big national band that I opened for. Most of the other ones have been local shows, which I enjoyed opening for Maul and have every time we have. They're such a good band.
Yeah, those dudes are awesome.
Yeah, I see you guys talking with each other a lot on Facebook and stuff. It's pretty cool. And they were supposed to come down to La Crosse for the La Crosse Metal Fest right before, or that was like the first show I missed after COVID. And I don't remember if you guys were supposed to be there or not, but it was an awesome show, and I was looking forward to seeing them, but didn't happen.
That is one of those shows we were supposed to play. I think it was day one of that festival. And that is the one that I'm the most heartbroken that it didn't end up happening. And I'm hoping that in some capacity, I was talking with Brian from Rig Time. He's hoping that in some capacity they can reschedule it or schedule like a new version of the festival, just because he was also very much looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the first place I saw you was at the warehouse in La Crosse 2 years ago. And it was kind of the same story I told last week with the Extinction AD is, being that I follow the warehouse, I see their upcoming shows. And that's like I said about them. I saw a picture of you guys and the name, like, well, check this out, and went to YouTube, and I was blown away right away. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to this show. And that was the Halloween one where you guys are all in costumes and shit. And
Michael wearing the Joker outfit.
It was so funny. They like the costume contest, and I walk up to the microphone. I was dressed up as like a weirdly obscure version of the Joker from like the Killing Joke comic, where he's like wearing like the Hawaiian shirt and stuff. And it's like anyways, I walked up and I was like, I'm the Joker, baby. And they're all just like they did not get it at all. It was really funny.
I didn't get it until you just explained it. So
exactly.
I forget what you were, Matt. I know Jake was a banana.
I just put on corpse paint and had like I had this old like skeleton morph suit from like high school.
Okay, yeah.
So I literally just grabbed that out, put a shirt over it and some shorts over it, and that was my costume. When they asked what were you, I go, whatever was in my closet.
True.
And that show too, I was talking with Jake or we were messaging before that show, and he reminded me, I don't know, a few months ago that he was kind of embarrassed when we had met at the show and I bought a shirt. I gave him the money, and then he just took it and then just kind of stood there and stared at me. And then I had totally forgotten this until he brought it up, and then he looks at me, he's like, oh shit, your shirt. And then he grabs it.
He's just there, just taking money. That's all right.
Jake, no.
I mean, if someone hands you a 20, you're just like, okay, I'll take that.
Hey man, sometimes when you headbang too hard, you just kind of
jostle
kind of lose your, yeah. If you jostle a little too hard, you
yeah. And memory I have of you, Matt, at the Soulfly show could have been kind of embarrassing, but when your battery died on your bass pickups.
Oh, it wasn't that it died.
What happened?
It I think I didn't have I had one of the two screws in the cavity end, but not both of them. So what happened was the battery had enough momentum that it pretty much ejected from the cavity. So it wasn't that it was dead. There just was no battery. Like I realized that after I was looking at it after the set, I was like, that's why I wasn't getting set. There's literally no battery in it.
Yeah, but I remember you're playing, and then all of a sudden you're just like kind of a little panicked, and then just like chucked it down and just grabbed the mic and just did vocals the rest of the night. And like how I think you handled it awesome when it was.
Well, thank you.
See, what was even funnier about that is he told me after the fact, because I was like, oh, I didn't like, because he had a second bass there, but it was like by our merch booth, so it was basically he would have had to run across the venue to get it.
Wasn't worth it.
And then he had the exact same thing. He had a similar thing happen a couple weeks ago when we opened for Reaping Asmodea at their release show. His strap button like ripped out of the bass because it was like kind of broken. So just all of a sudden I'm like playing, I feel a giant thud on the stage, and the stage like kind of like vibrated a bit. And I look over and I just see a bass on the ground, and Matt like sitting there like,
Well, like the strip, like I had the like clip lock system on for the first time, and so the buckle came through, and I was like, weird. Okay, noted that maybe I shouldn't use the strap. So I plugged it back in, and then the button falls out. I'm like, that's what I was expecting to happen. And so I was just like, okay. And then I just had to grab the other one, and that one I thankfully had on the stage elsewhere. I just had to grab it.
You had your bass back by merch. I tried to buy it, but Jake
He's like, Sorry, I can't let him get that one.
Yeah. Only shirts, I guess.
I guess.
Sorry.
I don't know. Maybe we can start offering Jake's Ibanez or Micah's Gibson. You know,
That's
those are the premium support tiers right there. You do that, we'll just give you the guitar and anything else that you want. Take our money. Well, we'll take your money. You take our stuff.
Take your money and your stuff.
Oh,
Wait, we're gonna take their money and their stuff. We're gonna start robbing people. So those warrants, no.
oh.
Come steal our merch. It's right over there after the show.
I mean, hey, people would leave with it.
That is true.
So what other projects have you guys been working on? You got any other outside projects or other things that you guys are working on?
So one thing that we've been working on and off in these past couple months is pretty much Micah, Jake, and I, plus one of our other friends, playing a different band. It's pretty much just you take the lineup from Agony and just shuffle it around a little bit and then change who the bassist is. So we're working on recording that EP just casually as our recording tech is available. But other than that, it's been, for the most part, just like mentally figure out how we want to what we want to do next after we have the Agony album out. Is like, how do we want to start mentally preparing to do stuff? At least that's how I'm seeing it. Micah could also have plenty of other things where he's like, no, I've been working on this that I just neglected.
I mean, I have multiple things going on at once. Like, yeah, I'm in that other band with Matt and Jake. Kind of more of a hardcore punk type of project. I'm kind of for fun. It's not really that huge of a deal. I just mentioned anyways, though. I'm working on an almost indie pop project with a couple other friends that are kind of more into that style stuff, and it's I enjoy it enough. So I decided to write that a bunch. But Jake,
and then both,
yeah, Jake's in the Motion Mosaic. He fills in on guitar for Maul. He actually just filled in on drums for Inflict. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're a bigger band from here.
Yeah.
In other words, again, as I said earlier, Jake is just way too talented.
Ben doesn't have any other projects, and we've actually asked him about it, and he said he doesn't really want any. So he enjoys Agony.
Other than that, Mike and I are school. We're doing school.
Right on.
Before we started, Micah, you said you're going to school for classical guitar.
Yeah, well, so I'm technically just a general music major, but they had you were supposed to study an instrument in depth basically, and I was like, well, okay, I play two instruments. I play tuba and guitar. I would much rather study guitar, but the only option they have is classical guitar, because it's what they usually teach in schools is just classical music. So I basically picked up classical guitar a month ago, and that's what I've been studying.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that he's studying classical guitar, because I'll just get random videos of him playing Toto's Africa, but on a classical guitar, and I'm like, okay, this has been win. This is a win.
I was doing a warm up one time, and it sounded kind of like Africa by Toto, and I was like, I'm gonna just send this to Matt and see what he says.
It's all worth it in the end.
What did you learn in college? How to play Africa by Toto.
How was the tuition? Well spent.
I want to see you bring a tuba on stage at the next Agony Rain show.
Dude, honestly, that's the thing that's kind of sick, is we're not gonna if we ever need I don't know, if we want to do some Between the Buried and Me type of thing where we have a instrumental break where it's bells and stuff, we don't need to hire a tuba player. I can just cover that.
You'll just see Micah womp 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 womp.
Basically.
And Matt, are you into photography too? I see you post a lot of stuff about pictures and taking pics of bands and stuff.
Yeah, that's been the biggest thing that I've been trying to get into more, especially with shows coming back. I started taking a couple photography classes at the U of M, more for just learning about it, because why not? And I was just kind of I have the camera, so I might as well maybe start getting into concert photography, at least casually, because it's fun. And it's definitely been something that I've learned a fair amount already. and it is really fun. And also it's just kind of cool because we get to talk to just like some of the other photographers we've worked with in the past now, and it just kind of a lot more to talk about there instead of like, so how's the show going for you? Like I actually can like I'm like somewhat close with one of the photographers that we've been working with pretty consistently. So every time I see him, we just kind of chit chat about whatever.
Right on.
Just want to imagine Matt at a show because I'm not. Whenever he's like taking pictures, I'm usually happen to be at the show, but I'm not usually around him because he's busy. I just want to imagine he's talking to those other photographers. He's like, "Hey, how's it going for you? Get out of my shot."
Be like, hey, does my lens look smudged?
Like competing to get the best photos of the band.
Rub some Vaseline on their lens as you walk by.
Oh my god, no.
Dude, it was crazy. They when I was at I went to Orlando. It was Orlando Metal Fest down in Orlando, and they had basically all of the photographers. So there's probably, I don't know, a dozen, right? Different websites, different magazines, different whatever, right? And they could only shoot during the first 2 songs of every band. And there was 2 stages, and they actually had people that they almost had like handlers. So like the handlers would come in and they'd let the photographers right at the stage so that they could, get all their shots. But you would see like 12 or 15 photographers all lined up in front of the stage getting shots, and they could only do it for those first 2 tracks. And then like the handler would like make sure they all had to leave, and they would go to the other stage and get the other band. It was the weirdest thing, but yeah.
It's like shuffling cattle.
Yep, they were being treated like cattle. It was crazy.
I know it's like the bigger shows that is more what the norm is. Like it's like you get the first like 3 songs of their set to do what you need to do. But that's the fun part about local shows. I can shoot photos the entire time and look like I know what I'm doing.
Right. You're gonna drop some of those amazing photographs. You got to get them as NFTs now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Just sell some NFTs. Say it's to fund the band, but then it becomes the day job.
Right.
Wait, I'm not gonna lie. What's an NFT? I have no idea what that is.
It's a non-fungible token. That's a different podcast.
Oh.
It's just like essentially like an online JPEG token or whatever. And for whatever reason, they've become a commodity. So people are paying dumb amounts of money for certain ones. And it's the most risky but flexing thing ever, because it's like there is no physical value in owning an NFT other than bragging rights.
Okay.
And some people are shelling out thousands for certain ones.
Millions. You can, it's basically a way that you can verify, that Matt, you took the photo, and that is the photo, right? There's no other copies of that JPEG or whatever type it is, right? It's crazy. So Jim put a note in here. I want to ask you guys about this because it's one of my favorite songs of all time. So Jim put a note in here, something about playing the Creeping Death cover. What's this about?
So like I want to say it was about halfway through the initial pandemic quarantine stuff.
Okay.
We wanted to put at least something out since we were still working on the album. So we just kind of collectively decided to cover Creeping Death as a band, just because that was one of those songs that back when we had to have covers in the set, it was either Creeping Death or Holy Wars by Megadeth. So we're just like, which one out of those 2 do we want to do? And we just ended up choosing Creeping Death because we felt like there was enough room to add elements, because it's a very simplistic song in a lot of ways, but that was just kind of what we did because we wanted to put something out, and it was a fun excuse to spend time together.
Yeah. No, we called that out on the podcast several months ago. So that's cool.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the first time we've mentioned you guys on the show. I think episode 1 even we mentioned you, and we've talked about you a bunch. And
No, I was
yeah,
gonna say I've caught a couple episodes here and there. And I was like, oh heck yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm here for a completely other reason, but oh heck yeah,
Well, thank you for listening. We do appreciate it.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yep, and that Creeping Death cover was awesome, and like everything I've said about Agony applies to that. I mean, I think didn't you, 3 of you do vocals on it, but not like at the same time, just like someone started the song, someone
we
took the
did.
middle, and someone ended. And
We divvied up the verses.
Yeah, we each did a verse.
Oh, so you guys are like Kiss.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Got to get the face paint on. I mean, at the time, too, my hair wasn't as long. So it was kind of like the Gene Simmons don't wear that in public hair. So, like, it would have been perfect.
yeah, and I want to give a big shout out to Scotty Krynock from Liquid Metal, and he played Creeping Death on his Corridor covers show, and that was awesome to hear you guys on Liquid Metal.
Oh, trust me, that was really cool. When you sent us that, I was like, okay, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be a great milestone, right?
Oh no, absolutely. Like that was like, I will say unintentionally, Jim, you telling us that you could like try to throw it towards his view was
Mhm.
like one of the biggest selling points for us wanting to do it, because we're like, that is a fair point though, because some people might actually just check it out because it's a cover of a bigger song. And they'll be like, okay, let's see this band butcher it. And then as they're trying to roast us, they'll maybe check out the other stuff and be like, at least that's not as bad.
No, it was good, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully we can hear some more of you guys on there. But
Yeah. So as we start wrapping up here, I want to make sure that you get an opportunity again to kind of let everyone know, basically your new album coming out, and then also any live shows that are coming up where people can catch you. So go ahead and promote anything that you have.
All right. Micah, feel free to correct me if I'm missing anything. But so our album release show is next Saturday, November 13th at Los Campeones with Sentence to Die, Coffin Rights, and Wanderer. Our album, The Tragedy and Understanding Nothing, comes out the same day and will be released everywhere that DistroKid can get the music on. Other than that, I'm pretty sure the only other confirmed show that we are playing is on December 4th. And that is another local band, Intrinsic's record release show at the Caboose. We will be opening that show alongside the Motion, Mosaic, and Waste. I feel like there's a couple other shows that are either confirmed and not announced or in varying stages of confirmed. So that's why I said, Micah, feel free to correct me if I'm forgetting anything.
No, that's all I can think of.
Sweet, I'm not alone.
Yeah, don't forget, I will say, for the people listening who are thinking about or who are considering coming to the album release show next Saturday, do it because you'll get a free CD. So
Oh, yeah.
who doesn't love free CDs? Come on.
Dude,
is it an
that's
Agony
awesome.
Rain CD?
What?
Is it an Agony Rain CD? Or just...
No, it'll be a Limp Bizkit CD.
I was actually planning to hand out my ABBA collection. It's kind of outstayed its welcome. I'm just gonna piece it out a little bit, but no, yeah, it's gonna be a copy of the new record. Everyone that attends will get one.
And
Oh my
it's
gosh,
only-
that's awesome, man.
It's only $10, so that's the price of this. You can either look at it as you're getting a free show or you're getting a free CD with a $10 show.
Yeah, exactly.
That is awesome. Yeah, thanks for letting everyone know. That's really great.
Come back to lacrosse too.
Honestly, we really want to. Like, we want to play Wisconsin more. Just like we've heard that, like, I think it's Milwaukee and Madison are both two regions, like those like are cities that are well worth it to like visit to. But like talking with the rig time people more, it's like we hope that we can get back to lacrosse with rig time at some point, or just anyone that'll really set up a show that we want to play.
Yep. No, that's great. That's great. And I want to take a moment just to thank both you guys for coming on. We really do appreciate it. We wish you nothing but success. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys live. And Jim, any other last words before I thank our listeners?
I'd just like to thank you guys for coming on again and say hello to the other guys, and look forward to seeing you again, and keep up the good work, and can't wait to hear more of the new stuff.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
thank you.
Thank everyone for listening. You can always reach out to us at thethrashreport@gmail.com. You can also find this and archives of all of our shows and show notes at thrashreport.com. And you can find us on all of the socials. Go ahead and check us out. I want to thank Igny Reigns for hanging out with us. And we will see you next time on the Thrash Report. Yeah. All right, let me just cancel the live stream and then we can